If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. Yeah, a fresh, cool young Lou trying to cash his microphone check 212. Wanna believe my own hype, but it's too untrue.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, Riptide Media Network and the 102.9 The Game app. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure that you like, make sure you subscribe. It is a great, and I say great Monday, because we have been treated to some really good, really high level, like really enjoyable basketball over these times. I'm gonna try not to look away because I want you all to hear me when I say this. I have to start off with an apology. I have to start off with apology. If you know anything, you know that I have been in here kicking Tyrese Halliburton's back end. Man, I've been talking bad about Tyrese Halliburton. And rightfully so. Like, the Indiana Pacers are not where the Indiana Pacers are to that point because of Tyrese Halliburton. It was because of the play of everybody else, not of Tyrese Halliburton. So yeah, I was kicking his back end, talking all kinds of reckless. He shouldn't be on the Olympic team, right? Jalen Brunson should be there. Dame Lillard should be there. I've been kicking his back end. And I don't apologize about being critical, because he deserved criticism. We don't live in a world where we have to like crown people or give people praise before they've done anything praiseworthy. And through the first few games of this series, Tyrese Halliburton has been thoroughly outplayed. Right? Thoroughly outplayed. But when it mattered most, Game 6, win or go home in Indiana, Halliburton showed up. Big time. And Game 7 in New York City, Reggie Miller style, Halliburton showed up. Halliburton showed you why people hold him in such high esteem. He showed you why so many think that he has an opportunity to be really special in this league. He showed you why. He's a guy who's going to be on the Olympic team. He did it. He took the trash talk, right? He took the negatives. He dished it back out, and then he backed it up. Now, again, right? Not without some help from his friends. Siakam, 20 points, 4 rebounds. Miles Turner, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 blocks. Nembhard, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Naismith, 19 points, 4 rebounds, and assist. To go along with the Halliburton 26, 4, and 6 stat line. Like, yo, they got it done. Even add in that pesky TJ McConnell off the bench, giving you 12 points, 7 assists. 7 assists. Yo, they deserved it. They deserved it. Tyrese Halliburton earned it. It wasn't given to him. He earned it. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about, oh, New York was banged up. Oh, if New York was, they weren't. And we can't give them credit for winning with a short roster. And then when they don't get it done, go, oh, well, they had a short roster. Nope. They had this roster from the beginning of the run, of the playoff run. In fact, they got a person back that they hadn't had. They got OG Anunoby back for Game 7. Didn't matter. Steamrolled. Boat raced. Indiana game blouses. Like, I feel bad for the Knicks. I don't feel bad for Knicks fans. I feel bad for the Knicks. I don't feel bad for Knicks fans. They gave you a fantastic run. Any Knicks fan that is feeling disappointed today, need I remind you all that you haven't seen this level of playoff success in quite some time, and you have a team that, if you do get fully healthy, is positioned really well to still have success. That's not something that I look at and I go, oh, I'm going to feel sorry for them. Like, this wasn't your best chance to win a championship. This wasn't your best chance. This wasn't the window closing. This was the door opening. This was the window opening. This was, hey, we have arrived. We are here. You're going to have to deal with us. That's what this is. And if Knicks fans are not looking at it that way, then you're looking at it all wrong. If you can't respect that, your whole perspective is whack. Right? Like, if you don't look at it that way, I don't know what else to tell you. Your window is now officially open. And I don't know how long it's going to be open, but it don't look like it's closing. But the Knicks were not winning a championship this year. I kept saying at some point the injuries was going to catch up. I thought they might be able to get past Indiana and have it catch up on them in the Eastern Conference finals. Hey, by the way, all of you people who believe that the NBA is rigged, sorry, there goes your theory, because there is no way on God's green earth, there is no way on God's green earth that they would not have put the Knicks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals in order to go and potentially have a matchup of stars, right? If Boston wins, or the greatest underdog story in the history of the NBA if the Knicks win. There's no way they don't position themselves to do that, right? If you were ever wondering about whether or not the NBA is rigged, know that they would not have kicked out the Joker for Utah and Denver for Utah, not even as Anthony Edwards is ascending. Because the Joker, the reigning MVP, the now 3-time MVP, had an opportunity to put himself into rarefied air as a multiple championship winning big. His international reach, his international appeal, having him versus Luka Doncic. There's no way they don't write the Denver versus Dallas story if it's scripted. That's how we know they're not pulling strings, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we know there's no puppeteer behind there with his hands up the backs of everybody's shirt telling them what to do. That's how we know. That's how we know that this is not Fugazi. That's how we know this isn't Fugazi, ladies and gentlemen. We know it because those two storylines would have written themselves, and they didn't. So, hey, Knicks, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. Knicks fans, you got nothing to be sad about. Why would you be sad? Your team just took you on a magical carpet ride where they were trying to do something that nobody's been able to do. And that's win with injury after injury after injury to key people on your roster. Yo, shout out, salute y'all. This is not a day of mourning. And it's not a day of excuses. I don't want to hear, well, if we were healthy or if we had all of our. Don't be that person. Don't be that fan base, right? When you guys beat Philly, you know what Philly fans did? I mean, they cried, but you know what they did? They said, we have to get better. They put it on themselves. They said, we have to get better. We got to do a better job. We need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position for success. We. At every turn, Philadelphia fans put it on themselves. They might have blamed like a different faction of themselves, but they put it on themselves. They didn't put it on the outside world. So today is not the day for Knicks fans to hit us with excuses. You're lost. Right? You're lost. And the crazy part about it is that you were down, right? You were down big at half, but the Western Conference game showed you that you could be down by 20 and run that thing down and still get it done. You just weren't able to do it. You ran out of steam. Yo, once again, Tyrese Halliburton, I salute you. I apologize. You play like this, my guy, you'll never hear nothing else from me. You go back to that stuff you were doing in the first couple of games, you'll hear from me. Not that I matter. I shouldn't. I'm sure I don't matter, but like you'll hear from me for sure. The other game that had the world in the headlock, Minnesota versus Denver. A slobber knocker, if you will, 98-90. Minnesota wins, but that's not the impressive part, right? That's not the part that makes you go, oh, okay. The impressive part about it is that at one point in time, Minnesota was down. They were down bad. Right at one point in time, at halftime, it was 38 to 53. But at one point in time, they were down by 20 points. Anthony Edwards, right? Who is the darling of this playoffs, right? He is the breakout player of this playoffs if we've ever seen one. Anthony Edwards in the first half had 4 points, no rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 fouls. He was shooting 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. Rudy Gobert had 3 points. He was 0 for 3 from the field and had 5 rebounds, 2 turnovers. Mike Conley was 1 for 7, 3 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 0 points. Naz Reid, 3 points. Kyle Anderson, 2 points. You get the point. Who held them down? Karl-Anthony Towns held them down. Karl-Anthony Towns, 5 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from the three-point line. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Jaden McDaniels chipped in with 10 points and 4 rebounds in the block. But it was Karl-Anthony Towns that held them down, that made it possible for them to just stay close enough. Just stay close enough. They went from being down, right, 18 at the half, or 17 at the half, I forget, maybe even 15, right? To a 23-point beatdown in the second half. And that's where it gets jiggy, because Anthony Edwards, who didn't shoot well, right, shot 25% from the field. If Anthony Edwards is going to shoot 25% from the field and they still win, you're in trouble. But he did everything else. 8 rebounds in the second half, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Gobert, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block. Towns, another great half, 10, 8, 1, 1. McDaniels, 13, 2, 1, and 2. Mike Conley still shot poorly, but 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. This Minnesota team won a game, right? They won a game, and they allowed Jokic to get off. They allowed Jokic. Let me roll up my joints right here. They allowed Jokic to have 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists. And Denver lost. They allowed Jamal Murray to have 35 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Denver still lost. Why did they lose? Michael Porter Jr. didn't show up. Aaron Gordon didn't show up. Porter Jr., 7 points, 9 rebounds. Gordon, 4 points, 4 rebounds. Right? Everybody else, if those dudes show up like they normally show up, they win. They win going away. But they didn't. And that's why I've got to apologize to Karl-Anthony Towns. I've been so critical of Karl-Anthony Towns' game ever since he was in college. He just felt like he didn't embrace what God gave him, which was this big body, athletic, with a touch. That to me screamed Tim Duncan. That to me screamed big fundamental, mid-range, block work, put it on the ground, go by people, dunk on people. That to me felt like Tim Duncan with more athleticism. Tim Duncan with more range. But he didn't have the toughness. And year after year after year after year after year, I had to watch as Karl-Anthony Towns got punked by every big, kind of, sort of big, quasi, sort of, kind of big there was out there. Every time I turned around, it was Karl Anthony Towns getting punked. Every time I looked up, it was Karl Anthony Towns who looked like he was about to cry, who looked like he wasn't going to get it done. And he didn't. And the Timberwolves have been bad because of it. The Timberwolves have seen really talented players not be successful because Karl Anthony Towns never wanted to be the legitimate true alpha. Even in Kentucky, right? He allowed every other player on the team to be alphas except him. But he let a bunch of other people who were not alphas be alphas. And they lost because of it. And in this team, he's still not the alpha. Clearly, that's Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is the alpha. They win or lose usually on the back of him. But Karl Anthony Towns, when asked to be the alpha in this game, stood up and got the job done. When he was asked to be the alpha in this game, he stood up. When was the last time you heard about Karl Anthony Towns having 12 rebounds? I'll wait. How often do you see Karl Anthony Towns get steals, blocks? Karl Anthony Towns was doing whatever was necessary for his team to win. It was win or go home, and Karl Anthony Towns decided, I'm not going home. Yo, that is phenomenal. I know everybody wants to talk about Anthony Edwards today. But to me, this game wasn't about him. And if we're going to keep it a buck, we got to keep it a buck. This game was about Karl Anthony Towns, right? Even though he shot, in my opinion, five too many threes. He was 1 for 6. He shot 5 too many threes, in my opinion. Even with those 5 missed threes, he was still 8 for 14 from the field. Just imagine if he had taken those 3-pointers, put them on the ground, and got a little closer to the rim. Imagine what his percentage might look like. He still shot 57.1%, and he missed 5 threes. He was playing with 5 fouls. He had something to lose. Shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. Applause to you, my guy. I know you don't care who I am. It's cool. I just want to tell you I appreciate when people give me what I've been looking for from them for years. Now, the question is, can this Karl Anthony Towns be consistent? Because if this Karl Anthony Towns can be consistent, then this team has a chance to beat Dallas, or they will beat Dallas, and they have a chance to beat Boston. If Karl Anthony Towns can be this Karl Anthony Towns on a night in, night out basis, then they have a chance to win it all. Hey, call me crazy. Say I'm lying. I don't care. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and I have tasted it. Once you show me this is who you can be, then I expect for you to show me this all the time. People will go, hey, yo, Gene, why is it you keep, trying to make that kid do something, he's inconsistent. And it's always, I've seen him do it before. Yeah, I know, but nothing. If I've seen you do it before, then there's no reason why you can't do it again. You just have to tap into the consistency it takes to do that every time. I used to have my little ones. We were 11 and under. 11 and under youth football team. I think it was 11 under, 10 and under, one of those two, right? And on the team, I used to have the quarterback reading. And I remember at the time, a lot of coaches, like a lot of dudes that I don't respect and dudes that I have a lot of reverence for, right? Oh, y'all are stupid. You got that quarterback back there trying to read. He don't know what he's doing. He don't blah, 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 blah. My response was always the same. I saw him do it. I've seen him do it. So he should be able to do it again. And through working with them and working with them and working with them, he began to be consistent with it. And so now on a 10 and under team, I've got a kid out there reading defenses, reacting, and putting defensive coordinators in a bind, because it doesn't really matter what you call when we're not playing against you, when we're playing against the people that you have on the field. And we had a lot of success that year. A lot of success. Then lo and behold, people started trying to do what I was doing. They criticized the design and then stole it and then tried to steal the patents. They criticized the design, tried to steal the design, and patented it as their own. The audacity of these people. The unmitigated gall. But imitation is the highest form of flattery. And so is the level up. Karl-Anthony Towns just leveled up. Tyrese Halliburton just leveled up. But there are titans waiting. And it's not that I think that Dallas is this titan, but they clearly have two players that are titan-esque, right? I thought Dallas was wearing down. I'm going to find out if I'm right. I said on our Zebra Strikes podcast that I didn't think Dallas had enough to make, like, they were just going to get out physical by either one of these teams. We're going to find out if I'm right. I said it would be a long day. We're going to find out if I'm right. But I'm interested in this Eastern Conference Championship, right? Because this Eastern Conference Finals, this is what I need to see. They just gave Jrue Holiday all this money. And I said it on the Zebra Strikes podcast. This series is the series that they signed Jrue Holiday for. The rest of this of the playoffs for Jrue Holiday is going to be important. Yo, can you shut down Tyrese Halliburton? Can you guard Anthony Edwards? Can you guard Luka and or Kyrie? Can you make life difficult for them? If the answer is yes, Boston wins the championship. If the answer is no, then Boston will likely fall. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. When you're a specialist like a Rudy Gobert and you don't do your job like he did in Game 6 or in Game 7, and you need other people to step up and do the job that you should be doing, you just got lucky. You were lucky to be on the team. But if you're able to make the stops, if you're able to make it happen, then you become something different. And that's what Jrue Holiday has an opportunity to do. He has an opportunity to become something different. He has the opportunity. He has the opportunity to make people care about him beyond the level that they've cared about him in the past. Right? Because there's a difference between being a role player, right? There's a difference between being a role player and being like a specialist. Just has a better ring to it, doesn't it? has a better feel, a better tenor, if you will. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out just what Halliburton is made of. Future Olympian. We're gonna find out what Drew Holiday is made of. Future Olympian. We're going to find out what Anthony Edwards is made of. Future Olympian. And we're going to find out what Luka Doncic is made of. Future Olympian. I can't wait. My team is Cancun, fishing, working out for next year, all that. I'm just here for good basketball, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I care about. When I come back, we're going to be talking WNBA and the first week of the WNBA, some takeaways, and obviously we'll be talking about Caitlin Clark. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless, and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. Riptide Media Network and 102.9 The Game app. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me as always. Make sure that you follow me anywhere that you follow on social media at Gene Clemens. That is on X, that is on Instagram, on Twitch, on Facebook at Coach Gene Clemens, the Coach Gene Clemens Facebook page, and obviously the YouTube channel. Also, shout out to the Bleacher Brothers, who is simulcasting Talk Spicy as well, and to Football Game Plan, that allows me to simulcast on their Facebook platform as well. Make sure that you are supporting all of us, as we know that creatives, especially independent creatives, are going to be the way that the future goes. Outside of the big conglomerates, right? Outside of the heavy hitters, the Pat McAfees of the world, the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. Isn't it crazy how quickly Pat McAfee just ascended to this level? We should have a conversation about that one day. It won't be today, but we should. What I do want to talk about is the WNBA and more specifically Caitlin Clark. But I want you to understand before I get started, I do not want Caitlin Clark to fail. I don't have any vested interest in Caitlin Clark failing. I don't have any vested interest in any woman failing. I love basketball. I love women. Therefore, I love women playing basketball. I love the game of basketball, so dunks don't matter to me. I can appreciate the subtle nuances of the game, regardless of whether it's men, women, children, teenagers, low level, high level, does not matter. I can enjoy it all. So, just so everyone knows, and maybe a lot of you do if you've been rocking with me for a long time. I've been at this for a minute. But if you've been rocking with me for a long time, you know that I played basketball. I played basketball in college. Many of you know that I consider basketball to be one in my sports drug of choice. It is one over football. One of the reasons why football wins out is because football has a lot more strategy in it than basketball does. Basketball really, like the best player can really sway, right, what you can and can't do. As Whit LeJour said on occasion, hey, look at when the guy gets hot, when the guy's got it going, there's almost nothing you can do about it, right? And it's not that way in football. In football, it still takes schemes, philosophies. Even the worst team can beat you if you don't execute. You don't just have one get out of jail free eraser most times. I say that to say I don't like these conversations to start with people thinking that I'm coming from a position where I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, you can believe what you want to believe about whether or not I'm played ball or I coached ball or how high a level I did it at and whether that matters or not. I'm telling you, I have been intimately involved with this game ever since I was a little kid. And I don't mean 15. I mean like as long as I can remember, as long as my psyche allows me to remember, I've been intimately involved in basketball. So, one of the things that I was told when I was very, very young, right, is that when you're a big, right, when there's a big on the court and the big is running, you want to throw the ball up to the big, not for any dunk reasons, but because the big runs with their head up. Naturally, the big is taller than other people. Therefore, if you throw the ball up, it's easier for them to locate and track the basketball as opposed to chest passes and or bounce passes. Now, Caitlin Clark made a pass in the game against the New York Liberty. There was a steal. She was coming down. She had a big that ran right down the middle. There were two defenders. One was in trail mode, running behind the big. The other was backpedaling and was kind of flat-foot backpedaling. It is at that point that I said, and I had made a reel about it, or I made one of those TikTok reel shorts. I put it on all platforms. I said that while the bounce pass was the more like flashy of the two, it was the harder pass to handle. The big has to now look down for the ball, locate the ball, turn, get their hands on the ball, all while running full speed forward. Whereas a lob over the top, they could have just ran underneath it, caught it, laid it in. Cool. I said all that. I diagrammed it. I told them why I felt this way. And close to 200,000 responses later, I have people who are saying, that's a fantastic pass. It hit her hands. She's got to catch it. She needs better teammates. I'm going, this is not a better teammate issue, although better teammates never hurt. This is an awareness issue, right? This is a know your personnel issue. This is a understand who you're playing with issue. Then people wanted to get on here and tell me about how, like, the Iowa team is better than WNBA teams, and how that Iowa team would catch those passes all the time. And then I went, okay, we got to stop it, right? This is on the heels of hearing respected media members and journalists talk about how the WNBA should have given Caitlin Clark an easy schedule. This is on the heel of an NBA player like Jeff Teague saying that the WNBA should treat Caitlin Clark like it's WWE. That they should be scripting it and allowing her to cook, allowing her the opportunity to essentially like shine, even though she didn't earn it. Not only do I look at that and I go, that's corny as hell, but it's completely and totally disrespectful to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark didn't walk into college and immediately be Caitlin Clark. She had to figure out some things. She had to overcome some things. Y'all thought that she was going to walk into the WNBA, the most difficult league to make, right? This is the league that took 32 players, I told you, in their draft, and only 13 made the team. Essentially, 1 in every 3 players drafted make the team. And this was the league you thought she was just going to come in and dominate? Why? Because she dominated a bunch of Big Ten teams? When was the last time the Big Ten won a women's college basketball championship? When was the last time you heard of a Big Ten team, women's team, being really, really good? I'll wait. When was the last time you saw a women's college basketball team from the Big Ten move the needle? I'll wait. So with all of those things, how did we just assume that Caitlin Clark was going to come to the WNBA and murder immediately? And more importantly, why do we need her to cook immediately? Why can't she be allowed to grow? What I showed was not meant to be criticism. It was meant to, it was not meant to be malicious criticism. It was meant to be constructive criticism for somebody who's still trying to understand the game at the NBA level. It's come too easy to her over the last few years. there were passes that you could get away with in college because that ain't the WNBA. And there are no Big Ten teams in the WNBA. Every team has bona fide stars. Every team has bona fide killers. Every team has defensive specialists, especially at guard, that are looking at Caitlin Clark like food. So yeah, it's important for her to get better at her craft, not only to be able to better serve her teammates, but to better serve herself. Caitlin Clark is doing a lot of the stuff that she did in college in the WNBA right now. She's still a high volume shooter. She's putting up solid points, solid offensive statistics, and turning the ball over like it's going out of style. A lot of people forget that she was one of the all-time league leaders in turnovers. People forget all the negative about her because they just want to talk about the positives. But why can't we do both? I think the greatest thing I saw in these 200 views that have gotten thousands upon thousands of chat replies, and I try to engage because I want to have a dialogue, right? One of the best things I saw somebody say was, you know, that was a good pass. I'm sorry, that was a pass that the big should have caught. But I don't disagree with what you're saying. My friend, that is the whole point. These two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. The first thing is Caitlin Clark will learn that bounce pass, trying to skip it between two people, not the smartest move, especially to a big that is running straight forward in front of you, not at an angle, but straight forward in front of you. Essentially, a big that is rim running. That's what we call it. The second thing is that big man's got to get better hands, because people also came on there and told me, hey, she did lob it, but the big dropped it or fumbled it away. Hey, you know what? I don't care. If you make the right decision all the time and the person that you made the right decision to makes the wrong decision, that doesn't mean you should start making wrong decisions because somebody else screwed up. You have to have faith in the fundamentals. You must have faith in the fundamentals. Faith in the bedrock, in the foundation of sports. It's like this all over the place, right? You got to have faith in the foundations of sports. You can't just arbitrarily decide, I'm going to break those foundations. And then when you don't get the job done, breaking those foundations, be upset. Be mad. That's not how this works. That's not how it should work. I should be able to give constructive criticism and people go, I get where you're coming from. Or they can go, I don't know if I see it that way. We can have the conversation. Obviously, my opinion is not going to change if I gave my opinion unsolicited based off of the fundamental facts. Hey, by the way, I had someone tell me, a coach tell me that anything 101 is based off of the individual and not based off of the collective right. I was dumbfounded. I was flabbergasted. right? I could not believe what I had heard. We had a discussion about play design, and I said this what I'm talking about is not up for debate. This is football 101. His response was football 101 to you. And I just couldn't believe it. I could not understand why they could not realize that what I was saying wasn't just based off what I believe. It is bedrock and foundational information to the game. So what I'm talking about with Caitlin Clark, it's not just theoretical. There's enough evidence within the game to prove this is the best way to get that off. If your big is rim running in front of you and you have two people trailing, lob it over the top, the big can see it, put their hands out, hopefully haul it in, and make a layup. Ta-da! The same way that cover 3 is cover 3. It never changes. There's never different principles or philosophies of cover. Well, excuse me. There's never a different basic structure of cover 3. It's always the same. The same way that cover 2 is always the same. Doesn't matter how many down linemen you have, how many stand-ups you have. A cover 3 or a cover 2 is always the same. It's just a cover 3 or a cover 2. Caitlin Clark is going to figure this thing out. I have no doubt that Caitlin Clark is going to figure this thing out. What I do have doubts on is whether or not fans are going to stay with her long enough for her to really figure this thing out. Or are they going to continue to overinflate what she does until her play actually matches the praise that she gets? It's going to be one or the other, though. Like that's how this thing is going to roll for Caitlin Clark. Either people are going to jump off the bandwagon super early, like they did with Sabrina Ionescu, or they're going to give her the latitude to be able to grow, and hopefully by the time she's mastered her skills, there would be some better diplomacy out here for what she does. Better appreciation for what she does. That's what you got to hope, right? It's interesting. When I'm talking about women's sports, right? I don't feel the need to call them women. I just refer to the game as the game. And you could actually notice when I try to remember like pronouns, he, she, like instead of saying the big man, I'm trying to say the big. But the truth is that true equality means that you don't see gender. And when it comes to hooping, gender is the last thing on my mind. The first thing on my mind, can you ball or can you not ball? I think of basketball very similar to the way that we think about it on the basketball court, the way that we embrace it on the basketball court. I am here, right? I am here for the talent. If I can find a way to get to the talent without costing myself more than what I'm willing to give up, bingo. That's it. That's what I want. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, right? Like, I want hoopers. So when I think about the game, I don't even think about it in terms of female, male. I don't even really think about it in terms of pro, college, middle school, or high school. I look at all of it as intertwined. I look at all of it as opportunities. That's the thing. I look at all of it as opportunities. Opportunities to do what? Opportunities to ball. Opportunities to impress. Opportunities to do something on the court that nobody has ever done. I believe Caitlin Clark has an ability to be something that we've never seen play at that high a level. But that's going to be on her, because she's not outrunning anybody. And she's not out jumping anybody. She's not out quicking anybody. She's going to have to start using that noggin. She's going to have to start understanding how that brain works in Congress with, right? How does that brain work on the court where there's 4 other people on my team? I got to make something happen. I got to make things go. Once she figures that out, she's out of here. Once she figures that out, there's no more talking. I believe that she can. I also believe that she could let this pressure weigh on her. She could let this pressure sit on her. Revered, loved. She could let this pressure just evaporate any chance that she has of being good. Or she could take this pressure and push it to the side. Again, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am extremely, extremely curious to find out. When we come back, we'll be talking more headlines from the day. This is Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. Riptide Media Networks in the 102.9 The Game app. I am Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you, as always. Thank you. You're far too kind. I got that from Jalen Rose, still one of my favorites to hear do it. Looking at things going on in the world of sports right now, some scores to give you. San Diego defeated Atlanta 6-5. The White Sox are down to Toronto 7-3 right now. Toronto's up. That's the top of the 8th. The Mets and Cleveland meet at 6:10 p.m. as well as Edmonton and Vancouver tonight in the NHL. Some things going on around the world. The all rookie teams were announced for the NBA. First team for the NBA: Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, Brandon Miller, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Brandon Podziemski. Second team: Derek Lively Jr., Gigi Jackson. Derek Lively the second, Gigi Jackson the second, Keontae George, Amen Thompson, and Cason Wallace. You know what? I have really what's the word I'm looking for? What I've really started to understand about the NBA is that the NBA isn't looking, they're not really concerned with you being a star right now. They're not really concerned with whether or not you can come in and help right now. What they're really concerned with is development, right? Because these guys are coming into the league so young that when they get to their second contract, right? When they get to that contract that's after the rookie deal, they're still only like 22, 23 years old. They're getting to the second contract at 22. They're getting to the Mamacita contract, right? At 26. They're coming in, they're signing the initial 4-year deal. Then they're getting the 3-year re-up or the 4-year re-up for the 100, for the 100 mil. Then they're doubling back 8 years if they can happen. They're getting $250 million over 4 years. Like that's how they're pimping if they're doing it right, right? If Wembanyama does it right, that's how he's doing. So but a lot of these players aren't really good and they're not household names, and so I don't understand like what's going on, like why people are worried if players are finished products coming out of college. We've seen this before. That brings me to Bronny James. Because I heard something that was very disturbing to me, and I had thought about whether or not I wanted to talk about it, whether it was worth talking about. But then I realized it's definitely worth talking about. And here's why. It's because we have this idea behind Bronny James that I don't believe is fair to him, right? We got a lot of goofies and a lot of anonymous people that will say, oh, Bronny James isn't good. But not a lot of people on record as saying it. I've got Kendrick Perkins, who I respect. He's a stand-up dude, right? But Kendrick Perkins went out of his way to essentially look like he was mad that an NBA telecast that he's on is talking about Bronny James, and Bronny James isn't considered a first-round draft pick. It's like no one ever told Kendrick Perkins that this stuff is entertainment. If he doesn't want to talk about entertaining things, then don't be on an entertainment platform. You think that this NBA show is there to talk about the news? They've got SportsCenter for that. NBA Today is there to talk about things that are going to entertain NBA fans while there's no games going on. Why is it that we haven't heard any other anonymous scout stuff about players not named Bronny James? Why is it that we haven't heard anybody come out and say something against players who are coming out that we have never heard from or heard anything else about before? Why is it Kendrick Perkins has to say something? Like, I love the fact that Kendrick Perkins is willing to stand on his square. I just don't know why he has to stand on his square in that. I don't know why that has to be where he draws the line at. They talk about some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard on these shows. They talk about stuff that don't matter at all. I've heard him criticize Charles Barkley and Shaq and those others, saying that they don't work hard. Right? That they don't work hard. That they essentially saying they don't do enough. That what they do with the halftime show, the postgame show, is like small potatoes. What does that have to do with basketball? What does that have to do with basketball analysis? See, inside the NBA, there's a reason why Inside the NBA is the most popular basketball show on television. And that's because those dudes have figured out that it's okay to make the game fun. It's okay to have opinions. It's okay to not be perfect. Right? But you just have to be endearing. And they have endeared themselves. They have endeared themselves in this space. Kendrick Perkins, he endears himself by being honest. But if we're being honest, they could replace Kendrick Perkins tomorrow. Nobody will notice. You want to know why? Because they just got rid of a bunch of dudes. Right? They got rid of a bunch of dudes. You know that there's been a couple of times where Jalen Rose has been used to start a new show only for Jalen Rose to get replaced on that show. Not because he wasn't doing his part, being Jalen Rose, but because Jalen Rose is expensive. And while we're going to pay Mike Greenberg, we're not going to pay Jalen Rose. So Kendrick Perkins would be wise to get a little bit more theatrics in him, to get a little bit more understanding of the business of sports media. Because if not, he could find himself on the outside looking in. If not, he could find himself on the outside trying to figure out what the next move is. Only in his case, he doesn't have that personality. He's not a Shaq level personality. He's not a Charles Barkley level personality. If it doesn't work out for him here, where is he going? What's he doing? Ooh, maybe he is a Shaq level. Maybe he is a Barkley level personality. But because he doesn't want to focus on things outside of like the obvious, we never see it. Yo, Kendrick Perkins, are we supposed to talk about the same 5 or 6 dudes that no one has ever heard of in this draft? Or do we talk about the one guy that even casual people know because of what his name is? LeBron James Jr. People were ragging on him. I watched. He was doing his thing. Why can't he be allowed to work on his game in the NBA the same way that other people who were not good that got drafted were able to work on their game and get better? It's not like LeBron James Jr. is going to be the first player to come in with suspect stats, but like a lot of upside with his skill level, with his athleticism. He's just going to be the first one that's named LeBron James to do it. And that's going to come with some cachet. But if LeBron James Jr. gets to the NBA and then is in the G League working on his game, how does that hurt Kendrick Perkins? How does that make Kendrick Perkins not able to do his job? It doesn't. So why would Kendrick Perkins be out here hating on this dude? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't understand it. I think it's corny. I think he's so much better than that. See, I'm not afraid to call a talent a talent. I think that LeBron James Jr. is talented. I think that he's going to be uniquely qualified to handle scrutiny and pressure because of things just like this. No, he's not tall. But at 6'1", with a 40-inch vert or a plus 40-inch vert and arms longer than your average 6'1" dude has, I think he could find a way to make it work. I think he could find a way to get it done. Will he ever be a superstar? Probably not. But if we're being honest about it, nobody thought Steph Curry was going to be a superstar, and he was in college murdering people. He was in college blasting people. Nobody thought he was going to be a superstar. Jalen Brunson, nobody thought he was going to be a superstar. He was in college murdering people. There are other guys who people didn't see being really good pros because they didn't do anything in college. And guess what? They're really good pros. Sometimes the game just fits you differently. Sometimes you just wear it differently than you would if you weren't here. That could be Broding James. You know what can't happen? What we should never allow to happen? We should never allow something to happen where we criticize someone for things that they cannot control. Right? Like, we can't be mad. We can't be mad at LeBron James Jr. because he's the son of LeBron James. We can't be mad at LeBron James Jr. because LeBron James named him LeBron James Jr. The only thing that LeBron James Jr. has been is himself. The only thing he's done is his best. He's tried to play the game the right way. He was trying to be unselfish. Never put up big numbers, but he never even tried. People act as if he's been out here ball hogging, shooting the ball, and missing everything. But that's not the case. He's never even tried. Not once. He's not that kind of player. And so everything that happens to him, everything that is done, right? Cool. Now people say, well, he's only getting this because he's LeBron James' son. You goddamn right that's the case. You absolutely right. That's the case. He's getting this because he's LeBron James' son. You know how much I've had to walk around and watch all of these football coaches who are coaches' sons get opportunities that I've never had in my entire life? You know how many times I've had to watch as broadcasting people and newspaper people get opportunities that I never had in my life? You know what I would have given to have a father or a mother who could have put me in position to skip the line on some of these things, not get by off not working hard, because we've all seen LeBron James Jr. work hard. But the opportunity for the push, the opportunity for the rub, just because I'm somebody else's son or daughter, or not daughter, but I'm somebody else's son, just because my father did it or my mother did it, and they had a connection. You understand how much it would have been fly if I had a family member, a mother or a father that went to college, and I could have gone to the college that they went to, not because I deserved it, right? But just because I went to that school. It happens every time, all the time. Nobody says a word. Nobody says a word. Bill Belichick's sons have made a career out of football coaching, even though neither one of them looked like they ever even touched a football outside of a practice where they were throwing it around. They've been able to raise and elevate up the ranks of coaching simply by just being the sons of a Hall of Famer. There are countless amounts of people who have taken advantage of the fact that they are the son of. Why is it every time somebody that don't look like, Mike McDaniel, somebody that doesn't talk like Brian Callahan, every time there's somebody that doesn't seem to be quite like Sean McVay, why is it now a problem? Bronny James is taking advantage of the hand he was dealt. It is not his fault that you were not dealt that hand. It was not his fault that you did not get the extra incentive that he received. He shouldn't have to apologize about it. And he shouldn't be the first person to not take advantage of it, because that's stupid. If the entire reason why LeBron James Jr. gets drafted in the first round is because he's the son of LeBron James, then guess what? That's the cost of doing business with LeBron James, the same way it's the cost of doing business for Giannis Antetokounmpo with both his brothers. Neither one of them should be in the NBA. And guess what happens if he gets there and he doesn't move the needle? If he does not improve, then he won't make it. He'll have to bring something to the table other than just coaching. Right? He'll have to bring something to the table other than just, my dad is LeBron James, in order to stick. I don't care how good the person was. I've seen a lot of people who came from nothing with no experience, little to no experience, but because their father was X, they were able to do Y. Why should it be any different for my guy, Bronny? Why should you want it to be any different for Bronny? Why do you believe he doesn't deserve that? When I come back, we'll wrap this thing up. It's Talk Spicy on the Riptide Media Network.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Spicy. Riptide Media Network and 102.9, the game app. I am Coach Gene Clemens. A couple of WNBA games tonight, both a 7 o'clock start, which is always good if you like to play single game fantasy, right? It's always a good thing when you can get multiple games at the same time slot, because that gives you more options to put together, right? Sometimes if you're like me, I don't really want to wait the entire night to see if I've won or lost, right? I like it all kind of in the same time bracket. Now, a lot of y'all are saying that's silly, just pick whomever's going to win, and at the end of the day, you won. I'm with you. I'm trying to get better, right? I'm trying to get better, but that's a reality. The Sun played a Fever tonight. at 7 p.m. This is the second time both of those teams are playing. The Sun 2-0, Fever they are 0-3 so far. The Fever, a difficult start to the season, right? UConn, they played the first game of the season, then back-to-back games versus New York, and now they have UConn. Oh, excuse me, not UConn, but Connecticut again. Again, I'm gonna tell you what I want to see out of Caitlin Clark tonight. I want to see her have fun. Like tonight, I just want to see that she's having fun. I just want to know that she's having fun. That's it. I don't need to see anything else. I don't care what the stats are. I'm lying. I care. Like if she turns the ball over a bunch. I don't care what the stats are really, though, because she's a rookie. It'll come. I know that she has the ability to score. You don't just forget how to score at a high clip. The defense is just better. But I think what's missing and what I've noticed that's been missing is that it does not look like she's enjoying herself. Sometimes it could be just that simple, right? Sometimes it's as simple as we need to enjoy. Did I strike a chord? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Sometimes you just need to enjoy. It's not hard for me when I think about it. Not hard at all. I want to see her look like she loves playing basketball. And if she does, I think you'll see her have a lot of success. Like maybe not like putting up 30, 40 points, but definitely having a lot more success than she's had. Individually, the team might not win because they're not very good right now. But that's okay. You don't have to be very good right now. You just have to be good going forward. Storm played at Liberty. That should be a good game. I don't know if Nneka Ogwumike is playing. She did not play in the last game. She's a game time decision tonight. That's going to be a big. It's going to be a big piece, right? Nneka Ogwumike is still one of the best players in WNBA. Still one of the most tragic figures in the WNBA that she never got an opportunity to make an Olympic team because for some reason she was one of the best NBA players and was never selected for Team USA because they kept putting on a bunch of legacy acts. I'm not leaving that alone. Not leaving it alone at all. I want to see them put the bona fide best on there. Don't give me the BS about, the fit. And no, women are unselfish. Nneka Ogwumike never being on a USA team is a shame. And now it's passed for her, right? I'd still love to see her be on the Nigerian team, her and Chiney, but I don't think that's going to happen either. It's a lost opportunity for the WNBA. It's a lost opportunity for women's basketball. It's a lost opportunity for international basketball. But I digress. Breanna Stewart has looked really good to start the year, right? Leading New York in points. Jonquel Jones leading in rebounds. Nneka leading Seattle in points and rebounds. These are some really good games to put some prize pick stuff on, or if you're so inclined. Matter of fact, let me see if I can throw something together for you here really quick off the dome. See if some stuff just sticks out to me. Is I like it. I've really been heavy on the points, rebounds, and assists lately because I think that what the market inefficiency is that points, rebounds, and assists allow you to have one thing make up for the other not being right as good. So Caitlin Clark's points, rebounds, and assists is 31. That means that she would need to get something around like 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Right? Something in that ballpark. They've played 3 games so far. And I'll just tell you because they give us the little handy dandy, right? She's only ever gotten over 31 points, rebounds, and assists in one game, and that was in the New York Liberty game. And they were kind of out of that game. So I would probably take that under with an understanding that if she got hot, it could be over, right? DeWanna Bonner, over 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists, right? The thing says no. Like, because she hasn't gone over 27.5 except once out of the last 6 games. But last game she went over, and the game before that she flirted right at the line. I think it ended up being 27. That would be something I would entertain. Right? I would entertain DeWanna Bonner going over her points, rebounds, and assists. Now, my cheat code for points, rebounds, and assists is Alyssa Thomas, who is like a walking like triple double, like a 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 11 points or 12 points. Her points, rebounds, and assists are over 32.5. She's done that 3 out of 5 times, and one time she didn't, was 30. So I would definitely like her to go over on her points, rebounds, and assists. Aaliyah Boston is at 21.5 points, and she has not gone over 21.5 points in any of her last 5 games. She got close in her game versus the Liberty with 21. See, here's another thing to consider too. Connecticut plays really good defense. And when you play really good defense, you tend to, the opponent tends to go under a lot when you play really good defense. So I'm inclined to go with, the under in some of these. So I'm going to put together a quick little thing for you, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to go Caitlin Clark under. I'm going to go Aaliyah Boston under. Under points, rebounds, and assists, by the way. Under 21.5 points, rebounds, assists. Caitlin Clark under 31 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm going to go DeWanna Bonner over 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Alyssa Thomas over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And probably will go. That's 4, actually. I think I'm gonna stick with those 4. I'm gonna stick with those 4, and I'm gonna roll with those. That's what I got. So if you want to put together a little prize picks or FanDuel or single game fantasy, go ahead and put that together. And remember that if you lose doing something that I told you to do, we lost together. That's what you always got to remember. We lost. Hey, if he's telling me it, then that means he's playing it, right? I think that's very important. As I get out of here, I am always taken aback by the this time of year, because this time of year ends up being where new players start getting offers, right? Players that haven't had offers before will all of a sudden start getting offers. I like this time of year, and I'm hopeful, right? Because we're entering the last year of the COVID year, right? This is the last year. This season is the last season where people get the super duper year that you got from COVID. And I am really excited to watch as the cycle plays out, because that means the class of 2025 will hopefully have the added bonus of not having to worry about a whole bunch of super duper seniors, right? So a lot of these senior classes will be even bigger than they would normally be, because those kids won't have the opportunity for a 6th season. They'll only have an opportunity to play 4 for their 5. Because of COVID, a lot of people had a chance to play 5 for 6, right? And so they won't have that anymore. So I'm hoping that means scholarships for high schoolers will be on the rise. But of course, now that we have the transfer portal with the immediate eligibility, we may never go back to what we saw before. But what we can assume is that we'll never have to worry about the kids getting the extra year exempted on, like so many of them. It really did make a paradigm shift in the game, and hopefully we'll see it start to kind of come back the other way. Because man, it just is rough. It's rough as a coach out here. We try to tell the truth to our kids, right? Hey, it's a new world out here. You've got to have the grades. You can't just have the ability. And even if you have the ability, you may have to be willing to go somewhere, get it popping, and then transfer to take advantage of something that you want to transfer from. I'm going to leave you guys with this, right? Because another thing that comes up in the summertime is preparation for next season. Whether you are a football coach or a basketball coach or baseball or softball, I want to challenge you individually as coaches. What are you doing to make your team better? Right? Here's my challenge to you. Instead of focusing on a large number of people, right? Especially my football coaches that are coaching at schools that don't have a lot of talent. Your job is not to lean into the talent. It is to lean into the players that are not already the starters for you right now. Find a way to build depth by making the players who did not touch the field for you in 2023 have the ability to touch the field for you in 2024. If you coach running backs, don't just go out there and tout out your best running back. Go find a guy that hasn't been identified as a running back yet, or that's a running back that needs to get better, and make him better over the summer. You know what we can't do? We can't have a bunch of players at running back get better over the summer. It's only one of you. It's a bunch of them. But you can have one if you focus in on that guy. Spend a little bit of extra time with that guy when he's not doing other things, when you're not working with the group. Find the talent, mine the talent, right? Mine it, and then develop it. Mine it, cut it, polish it, and now your team will be that much better because now you have a backup for the incumbent. If you're brand new at a program, don't just come in and be satisfied that you inherited a decent like hand. If you're the linebackers coach and the linebackers are all returning from last year, that's not the time for you to say, hey, I'm going to sit back and rest on the fact that I have these linebackers. That's the time for you to make something happen different. That is my challenge to you. Good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy, Riptide Media Networks, and the 102.9 fan app. 102.9 the game app. I've been Coach Gene Clemens. Until the next time, peace.